lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop.
Boom, boom, boom.
Lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop.
Boom, boom, boom.
Lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop.
Boom, boom, boom.
Lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, 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 lollipop, a lollipop.
God damn it, YouTube. I fucking hate Fallout New Vegas. Well, I guess that's one way to start a video, with shitty fucking music and a terrible logo. Maybe I should start doing that. Just ear rape everybody with a shitty fucking song. With my name up. Ah, that's a great idea. I'm gonna start working on that right now. Alright, so obviously I don't hate Fallout New Vegas, the game, but I'm really starting to turn on the community for Fallout New Vegas. Okay, I'm sorry. I have to mention this. I know I complain a lot about other people's quality of their content, but mate, if your audio is peaking so bad that the audio starts cracking, you really need to fix that? Actually, yeah, just fix it. That's the only step. Just fix that. That's really annoying. I have to fix your own fucking audio in my own goddamn video because you don't know how to balance audio correctly. Like, what the fuck, man? These days, they're just like praising it like it's the ultimate game. You can't even talk about like other Fallouts without people like, you talk about Fallout 3, they're like, well, Fallout New Vegas is better. You talk about Fallout 4, Fallout New Vegas is better. Well, yeah, that's a fact. Fallout New Vegas is better than Fallout 3 and 4. It is objectively better. So that's why people bring it up, because it's the better and superior game. Talk about the story of either of those games. Fallout New Vegas' story was better, which is not fucking true. To be honest, Fallout New Vegas' story is really lackluster, especially compared to 3 or 4. Fucking roll! Really? You think New Vegas' story is lackluster compared to 3 or 4? Wow, that is a very dumb and bold statement to say at the same time. I'm sure we'll go over your points, and you know what? Maybe you will actually bring real arguments to the table. Why Fallout 3 and 4 are the better games and have better stories. I'm sure you will go into grave detail in this 8-minute video explaining why. Oh boy, I can't wait. They have actually, I think 3's story is pretty good. A lot of people hate on it. Fallout 4's story was obviously good in theory. It just didn't work for a Fallout game. What the fuck does that mean? Fallout 4's story is terrible no matter what way you slice it. It's awful. It's a dog shit story. And Fallout 3 is the exact same fucking story as Fallout 4. Just a few knobs changed here and there. That's the only fucking difference. Because Bethesda doesn't know how to write anything, like at all. Even when it came to the Elder Scrolls series. New Vegas' story is just, I got shot in the head, let me find out why, platinum chip, big fight at the end of the game. Okay, well now you're just simplifying the fucking story of New Vegas. I can do that to Fallout 3 and 4. The story of Fallout 3 is very lackluster and not much because all it is that you're hunting down your fucking dad / kid. Big fight happens at the end. You're basically simplifying the whole story. I can do this to any fucking media whatsoever. Lord of the Rings. It's about 4 fucking gay children going on a quest to destroy a ring. I mean, it's not fair to the quality of the story to just simplify it in that situation. Is the story about you getting shot in the head and about the platinum chip and a big battle happens at the end? Well, yeah, that does happen, but there's reasons behind it. The politics behind it. Why it's like this. Why the Hoover Dam is so important, why the NCR is important. These are all very important parts to what makes New Vegas' story so unique. That's the story for Fallout New Vegas. Of course, there's choices. You get to choose who, like, in what direction you want to take the story. It can be, you know, independent New Vegas. You can join Mr. House, NCR Legion. In that regard, of course, New Vegas has a good story, but the actual, like, the core story of New Vegas is not really that interesting. I'm sorry, you're saying that when you're doing the side quests, which tie up to the main quest of the game. It's interesting, but the main quest isn't that interesting. What? Do you understand that the whole story is about Mr. House, the NCR, and the Legion, like, fighting against each other for the fucking Hoover Dam? That's the whole fucking story. It's not actually about you being shot in the head and about the platinum. Well, it is about the platinum chip, but there's more to it than that. You simplifying the story like this just makes you look like a fucking asshole that doesn't understand writing, or is trying to manipulate his arguments by simplifying it, which, again, is a very common tactic a lot of people use to make their arguments sound better than they really are. Like, if I made a Fallout 4 video and I said, oh, the story is very lackluster because it's about a fucking father looking for his son and a big battle happens at the end. Well, I'm not really being truthful to what the actual story's about, aren't I?
Whereas with Fallout 3, you're kind of chasing down your dad across the wasteland, trying to figure out, pick up his trail, where is he at? He eventually sacrificed himself to save you and everybody else, and then you're trying to purify the water for the wasteland, which I think is a good story. That's the short version. Obviously, there's more to the story than that.
Pardon my French, but you're an asshole.
Oh, so you mentioned when you're simplifying the story of Fallout 3, but New Vegas, whatever, who gives a shit. Let's not actually talk about why Fallout 3's story is fucked to begin with, right? Like, them needing to find water because all the water in the wasteland is bad for them is just utterly fucking bizarre to me. Like, you do know that if there's no water, there's no plants. If there's no plants, which there isn't no plants in the game, that means there's no fucking life whatsoever. All life would be dead. Do you understand that? It's the food chain. Water is the source of it. So, like, if that's all toxic and no one could drink the water and everyone dies and shit, how the fuck is everyone alive without water? Hell, at least in fucking New Vegas, when this type of thing happened, they had an explanation for it on how people got their water. You even fixed one of the NCR camp's water pipes that was connected to a vault that got their fresh water. It all made sense to the world. Fallout 3 didn't have that. I'm getting too much into the Fallout 3 story, but Fallout 3's story is broken. It's utter shit. It even breaks Fallout 1's story, if you want to go in more detail about it. Well, Fallout 3 is a terrible game.
But I think it's an actual decent story, whereas Fallout New Vegas is just kind of like, who shot me? And I'm with the majority of the community about Fallout New Vegas being the better of the three, like, open world 3D games.
I'm starting to think your title's a little clickbaity here, because it seems like you don't mind Fallout New Vegas, but in the title of your video it says, I hate Fallout New Vegas. But then you start off your video saying, I don't really hate Fallout New Vegas, I just hate the community. Well, that's pretty fucking clickbaity, don't you think, mate? I mean, why didn't you just title it, I hate Fallout New Vegas' community? Oh, wait, maybe because no one would watch your video from that. Interesting thought. No, I get it. I've done, like, what, 2 clickbaity titles in my videos? But at least I believe those are the case for my videos. DW Terminator had the worst fucking take of Doom Eternal. I'm pretty sure everyone would agree with that. The EFAP take, that people could disagree with that one, but that's just how I feel about their take on that shit. So, as long as you're doing a clickbaity title that fits with what the video is about and how you felt about it, there's nothing wrong with a clickbaity title. But this fucker here, I hate Fallout New Vegas. First 10 seconds, I don't really hate it, just the community. Like, what the fuck?
But it's starting to get to the point where people are really, starting to talk shit a lot about Fallout 3. I've seen a lot of people on Facebook and Twitter and shit like that hating on Fallout 3 without realizing the game's... You gotta remember, the game's almost 10 years old at this point. Not to the date, obviously. It'd be like October 23rd or something like that. 2018 would be 10 years. But it's almost a decade old.
No shit.
You gotta remember that it's Bethesda's first time with the game.
No shit.
They transitioned it from a top-down isometric game to a full 3D open-world game.
No shit.
Like, you gotta remember all these factors. It's not gonna be a perfect game. And people will make the argument about Obsidian having the short time to make New Vegas versus how long they had to make Fallout 3. And you're right. I've said that before on my channel as well. But you also got to remember that they went into Fallout New Vegas with, the everything that's been created for Fallout 3. Because if you look at, like, the character models, they're very similar. They even have some of the same voice actors, if I'm not mistaken. So it's really, they took things from Fallout 3 and just added new stuff to it.
Well, yeah, that's typically how sequels or spin-offs work for games and movies, where they take things from the original source material and add more to it. But the thing that you don't understand about New Vegas and why it's so very special is that it took the 3D formula of Fallout 3 with the assets. Yes, it has those assets. But what really the talent comes from in New Vegas is the writing, the quests, the characters, the world building. All of these things is what makes Fallout. Without these ingredients, if you don't have an option to tell a character to go fuck themselves in 20 different ways, it's not a Fallout game. No matter what title it says. Fallout 3 is not a Fallout game. Fallout 4 is not a Fallout game because it's missing these core identities that make a Fallout game. So this right here, what they did is just bring the classic Western RPG in a 3D setting. And honestly, it's probably the very last Western RPG we'll ever get, which is kind of sad to think about.
What I mean by that exactly is, like, they didn't necessarily build it from the ground up. Obviously, the world is probably new. It's nothing like Fallout 3's world. But, like, they have, you know, similar character models, buildings, weapons, things like that were in Fallout 3, and they just added more variants to guns, more variants to enemies, shit like that.
Now, I could be wrong on this. I don't really have the stats for myself, but I could have sworn, I'm pretty sure I'm right on this, that New Vegas added almost, like, 200 more guns to the game. Other than Fallout 3's like, what, 50? So that's a pretty big amount of guns you have to create there, along with making a very dynamic story that works with any decision someone makes, along with all these different choices of how characters are built, along with the perks. There's a lot more perks and skills in New Vegas and how they affect the gameplay in different ways.
And I'm not even looking at this through, like, nostalgia goggles or nothing. Like, of course there's some nostalgia for Fallout 3. It was the first one for a lot of us. It's what got me into the series and everything. But I'm not even looking at it like that. It's not even a biased thing. It's just like, if Fallout 3 didn't exist at all, we wouldn't even have New Vegas.
Well, that was idiotic. Off to hang myself, hot and left.
You know, I've heard this argument a lot going around. I never really understood why that's important. Like, if we didn't have Fallout 3, we wouldn't have had New Vegas. I was like, yeah, right. That's like an alternate universe that we don't fucking live in. So who really gives a shit? It's still a shitty game. You could build on top of a shitty game. It's been possible for ages. Look at the original Duke Nukem games. They were fucking side-scrollers. Look at Doom 2016. The game's fucking broken to shit and honestly kind of bad. But Eternal improved on that, and it's a way superior game than it. So, like, yeah, I mean, these wouldn't have existed without them, but we're in a universe where they do exist. So that argument doesn't really work for anything. Guess what time it is? You got it. Advertisement time. Now watch my ad and give me your money, you fat fuck.
Mr. Brad Haley?
Relax. Did I win something?
My sources tell me you've been calling Jack in the Box junk in the box.
So?
I take these things personally, Brad.
Get lost.
Sure, just try my food, apologize, and I'll go.
Beat it, clown!
Listen, punk! My employees have been working their buns off to make the best burgers, shakes, and fries around.
Oh yeah, whoop 'em good, Jack.
Try a thick and frosty milkshake made with real ice cream. Yummy, isn't it?
Very yummy.
Thanks. Here, try a fry. Better than Max, right?
Yeah.
Be honest with me, Brad. What do you think of my burger?
Tasty.
Really? You're not just saying that because I could snap your arm like a twig?
No, I shouldn't have dissed your food, man. I'm sorry, Jack.
Well, I'm sorry about the grass stains.
Really?
Now you may resume to your daily program and stuff your face with shit. Go fuck yourself.
The New Vegas community is getting so toxic to the point that on my personal Facebook, I've seen there's this person on there that talks a lot about just Fallout New Vegas all the time. And they just constantly talk shit on Bethesda and Todd Howard and Fallout 3. And I can't remember what the post was exactly, and I'm just kind of, this isn't verbatim, but this along the lines of them saying they did not like Fallout 3, they played it for about 30 minutes and could not stand it and quit playing. And all I can think of is, like, you're talking about a Fallout game, and all you could put into it was 30 minutes, and you basing your entire judgment of the game off of 30 minutes. 30 minutes doesn't even get you out of fucking Vault 101. You don't even leave the beginning of the game in 30 minutes.
I mean, I don't know. Would you count that as a big problem when you're 30 minutes into the game and you still haven't gotten to the game? I would be kind of pissed about that. I mean, granted, it is only 30 minutes, but I don't know. I would be kind of pissed if it took me 30 minutes to get to the final game. I wouldn't, like, stop playing the game or anything. I would still chug through it just to get past that crap and then see the actual game. But I would remember that as being a very shitty experience for the first 30 minutes.
And I mentioned this before on the channel, but it's actually kind of been a while. I think that Fallout 3 is the better Fallout game because it feels like a Fallout game. The world feels like Fallout. And I think that Fallout New Vegas is just a better game because it's a better RPG experience.
It seems like you don't know what makes Fallout to begin with, mate. Well, so let me break this down to you. No matter if you have the cars of Fallout, Nuka-Cola, the iBots, you can have all this shit in the game. But if you don't have the RPG mechanics of the classic Fallout games, it's not a Fallout. The aesthetics shouldn't make it a Fallout game. It's what the game was made for, what the genre was. The best way I can put it, you said it yourself. New Vegas is the better game because it's an RPG. That's what makes a Fallout game. It doesn't matter what aesthetic or what paint job you put over it. If you don't nail what makes a Fallout game, which is the RPG mechanics, it's not a Fallout game. And you said that the world was better in Fallout 3? Mate, that is dead fucking wrong, and you're an idiot for even thinking that. Whoever thinks Fallout 3's world is better, you're wrong. You're just objectively wrong, and I'll explain it to you right now with one really easy example. Megaton. Why in the actual fuck would you build your town around a nuclear bomb that's may or may not be active? Who the fuck decided that? That's really stupid. That's all I'm gonna give for the world building right there. That is planted throughout the whole game, along with no actual farms and how people get their food and water and shit. None of this is explained through Fallout 3. The world building is not there, and that's what New Vegas nails, along with the great RPG mechanics. So that's just a dumb point.
Because in all honesty, when you walk around the Fallout New Vegas map, like, it doesn't really feel post-apocalyptic because you're not really in a city, you're in a fucking desert area. Of course, there's some destroyed buildings and towns and things like that, but it doesn't really feel like you're in a post-apocalyptic scenario. It just feels like a bunch of destroyed places.
It doesn't feel like a post-apocalyptic scenario. Holy fuck, mate. You go around West Side, and that place is just abandoned. It looks apocalyptic, and you talk to these people struggling to survive. The first time you walk into Freeside, and you see people fucking murdering each other, and kids chasing down a rat with a knife. Like, holy fuck. And people just struggling to survive, doing anything they can. It's actually very good, and just because the setting is in a desert doesn't mean it feels post-apocalyptic or not.
And to me personally, the DC Ruins area of Fallout 3 is better than like any location in Fallout New Vegas. I love the in and out of the subway tunnels.
Oh yeah, I love those subway tunnels too. Every fucking mission you have to go through those goddamn subway tunnels and try to find your way around to get to the fucking main parts of the city, because for some reason, even though they had longer time to develop this game, they thought it was better to cut down their development time by copying and pasting subway tunnels throughout the whole fucking thing. Oh yeah, I love those subway tunnels so much when 85% of the map is under the fucking map. It's great. Love it.
I'll be able to walk down the streets and look at all the destroyed fucking skyscrapers and tall buildings, and you can go in some of them, and some of them you can't, obviously. To me, that is that location of Fallout 3, and Rivet City too. Rivet City is one of my favorite locations in all of Fallout. And look, I'm not trying to shit on Fallout New Vegas. Again, it is my favorite of the series so far in terms of just overall how the game is. But I just want to point out some of the flaws with Fallout New Vegas, at least that I see in it.
What? What the fuck?
And what are your flaws exactly? You haven't really mentioned any fucking flaws. In fact, the only fucking thing that you said that can be considered a flaw is the story is lackluster, but not really, because when it goes to Mr. House, the Legion, and the NCR through their entire thing, it's interesting. But when it's the main plot, it's bad, I guess. But the main plot is what leads to the other second act of the game. I don't know. I don't understand that fucking point. And then he tries to praise Fallout 3 by saying if we didn't have Fallout 3, we wouldn't have New Vegas. So what exactly are the flaws? You haven't really mentioned any. And the one you mentioned is just really dumb.
Because I'm sick of like seeing people with shit all over Fallout 3. Like, Fallout 3 is OG. Like, that's the one you have to like that one, or you can't like these other ones. Because if not for Fallout 3, these other ones would not goddamn exist.
Again, that's a really stupid point. I don't like Fallout 3. Oh no. I mean, what's gonna happen? New Vegas is gonna disappear now? Fallout 3 is gonna disappear because Fallout 3 never existed? Oh no. Like, who gives a shit? Fallout 3 is a terrible fucking game.
And none of the Fallout games are perfect. Fallout 3 has its fucking faults, so does New Vegas, and so does 4. None of them are perfect, but I just want to point out some of the reasons why I think that Fallout 3 is still a great game. It holds up to this day, I think. Now, if it came out today, if Fallout 3 was a brand new game and it came out today, yeah, I probably wouldn't think it's as good as I do think it is. But again, it's a fucking old-ass game, and for people to wait almost 10 years later to really start shitting on Fallout 3 seems a bit ridiculous to me. Like, of course, a game that's that old is going to have its fucking faults and problems.
Well, that's kind of a strange point if you think about it, mate. Because the way you're mentioning it right now, right, is that as time goes by, people will find more faults with the game, which, yeah, that's true. But it's how well the quality of that game can hold up after so many years. A good example of this is like Dead Space, right? I'm not entirely sure when that game came out. I think it was like, what, 2011, I think, right? Could be wrong on this. You go back to that game, and it still looks very timeless. It's still a very good game. Not many people have a lot of flaws or faults with the game, besides maybe the final boss, and that's about it. It's how many flaws can stack up after so many years. In New Vegas, let's be honest, when all the flaws that people have of New Vegas can be probably put on like one hand, while Fallout 3 you have like 10 hands, I think that's pretty fucking good. Most of the problems that deal with New Vegas is because of Fallout 3, since you want to say, oh, if it wasn't for Fallout 3, we wouldn't have had New Vegas. Well, most of the problems with New Vegas is because of Fallout 3. The AI being shit, the graphics are fucking horse cock. No, that's about it. That's actually the two biggest oh yeah, time constraints, so, small development, the final battle being pretty shitty. That's 4 faults. If you can think of more, let me know, but that's as far as I can think of. That's the only 4 problems with the game. While Fallout 3, I could just name so many. So, yeah, that's a weird point to make. And this was a fucking stupid-ass video. I remembered I covered this before my channel got nuked. I decided I'm gonna do it again because fuck it. I like talking about New Vegas. It's a great game to talk about. But yeah, that's it, you fucks. Go fuck yourself.